Yo, what's happening, everyone? G Money Rowan here. Before the before the games actually start, to showcase this deck. This is a Blackwing slash Raidraptor deck. So I was kind of looking around for some decks to play around for a while, and Blackwings and Raidraptors I heard are very popular choices to mix together when you want to have Dark Wing Beasts monsters together, and they actually kind of help out each other in a way when it comes to Synchro or XC's players. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna look this up. So I kind of did some researching around a little bit and everything, how they are played and such. So I'll just go over real quick about Blackwings, for example. So this is what's pretty common about Blackwings. If you control a Blackwings monster, but most of these will have this common effect where if you control a Blackwing monster other than whatever the other copy is, you can special summon them from the hand. So if I could start off with a good hand of Blackwings, like something like this to start off with, and maybe any of these like any of these level 4s, that'd be great. But yeah. So yeah, playing some Blackwings. Yeah, special they all just again nothing but a bunch of special summoning to swarm the fields. And this one's the same too. So overall, the whole thing with this deck is to special summon out a bunch of Dark Wing Beast monsters. And then for like other cards, not Blackwings, I'm running in here. I'm running the Phantom Knight cards, which these are pretty much searchers. These are pretty much searchers for any of the Phantom Knight related cards, since Phantom Knight is also have the same search for Raidraptors as well. So these are good. These are good to search out for the spells and traps related to Phantom Knight. So which I have 4 in here. And then which is like 1 Phantom Knights of the Shea Badint, if I pronounced that wrong, my apologies. Or any of the Fog Blades, and the Phantom Knight rank up magic force. But yeah, next for Raidraptor cards, the only 2 we have in here is Raidraptor Singing Rangus, which this has a pretty simple effect. If you control a face-up Xyz monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only use this effect of this monster once per turn this way, which is pretty good to special summon. Also have Raider's Wing, which this is always treated as a Phantom Knight and a Raidraptor card. And I could also special summon this from the hand or the graveyard by detaching a material from a Dark Xyz monster I control. Special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. And if this card gets used as an Xyz material, it has this effect where your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, which is not too bad. Not a bad one at all. To give your Xyz monster some protection from targeting related effects. For spells, I'm running in here. I'm running 1 Maigeki, 1 Hoppy's Feather Duster, and 1 Lightning Storm for like back row removal and monster removal, depending on the situation. Running 3 copies of World of Darkness, which this is actually not too bad for this deck, because I don't mind banishing 1 dark monster from my hand. As long as I can get some good draw, that'd be great. Also I'm running this card here, which if I control enough about Wing Beast monsters, and I control at least 2 different monsters with different original names, I pay 600 white points to draw 2 cards. So yeah, another draw, more additional cards. Also Black Whirlwind, which is by far the best. This is the best searcher for the Blackwings deck. When you normal summon a Blackwings monster to your field, you can add a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with less attack than that monster. So pretty nutty. And this does not have a once per turn. And if you have like say 3 of these on the field, you can turbo out a whole lot of search. Very good. And then we have Call by the Grave to stop any hand traps from disrupting us. We have a Phantom Knight rank up magic, which I usually use this for. Usually I use this for like Raidraptor Force Focus Swix. When I have at least at best 6 dark monsters in my graveyard. because this basically banishes up to the number of dark monsters in my grave as a target 1 XC, dark Xyz monster I control. To special summon from the extra deck 1 Phantomite, 1 Raidraptor, or 1 Xyz Dragon Xyz monster whose rank is equal of that target monster you control plus the number of monsters banished by using it as materials. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolved, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for Xyz monsters. And this is treated as an Xyz summon to the summon monster. So, usually I usually end this on with this card being the last thing, because I wanted to first turbo out the synchros, and then the Xyz, and then the links, which I will go over the extra decks in a moment. And just go over the traps real quick. This is basically a special summon trap card, because if I don't control no traps in my graveyard, I can activate this trap card. I can activate this card, and it basically special summon itself from the trap card and spell zone to the monster zone, and it becomes a dark warrior level 4 monster. So good for Xyz plays. And then I got 2 fog blades, which pretty much acts like a infinite impermanence, which I can target that. I can target 1 effect monster on the field, negate that face up monster, and then that cannot attack. Also, that monster's effect is negated. Now, caveat to this card is while this trap card's equipped to that monster cannot be targeted for attack. So that is a bit of a drawback, a little bit. But this is only this is kind of the last resort thing to do, just in case. But there is a way to counteract this one, because I do have a synchro monster that can help me to counteract this. And I'll go over the extra deck real quick. Now, for most of these, I'm not really using much. They're kind of a niche situation. So I'm having my Blackwings, Nilfon, the Starlight, which is not a bad synchro monster. If it's special summon, it inflicts 800 damage to your opponent, then you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, loses 800 attack and defense. And it has this nice little effect where if you have a Blackwing monster in your hand, you can also have an additional normal summon for Blackwing monsters. So it's an additional to your normal summon. So nice way to kind of continue the combos just in case. And then I have an Armor Master, which basically can't be destroyed by battle, and you don't take no battle damage. Pretty good. And you get to place a wedge counter on that monster if it attacks a monster, which is not too bad. And then you can remove all the wedge counters from your opponent's monsters. That attack and defense of those monsters have the wedge counters become 0 until the end of this turn. Again, it's pretty yeesh. Then I have a Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawkjaw. Just another Blackwings card to use. This one's a pretty good one. Again, I don't really use this one. The ones I do use the most, I'm gonna go into talking about more. Next, I got a Beatrice of the Diabolical Dragons. Pretty self-explanatory. Can't be destroyed by battle with card effects. And if I take any damage from the attack involving this card or from the opponent's card effect, this card gains the attack equal to the damage I took. I threw a random level 8 synchro in here because I didn't have time. I didn't have the to make another copy of full Armor Master, so I just threw this in here as a random utility card. This one's not a bad one here. This could be still pretty handy, but I don't really use it too often. Let's go over to the main cards I am going to use though. Blackwing full Armor Master, which this is pretty good card. This is a pretty good card. Basically, this card is unaffected by other card effects, and each time your opponent's monster's effect activates, you get to place a wedge counter on that opponent's monster, which is a max of 1. And then after that effect resolves, once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter, take control of it. And once per turn, during the end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that has wedge counter on it. And so taking your control of your opponent's monster is permanent, but that doesn't matter though, because it's going to get destroyed. Now, this is the card that gets around the caveat of Fogblade. So if I stop my opponent's monster from activating their effects, I can basically attach the wedge counter on them with using this by also using his effect. And the way I get wedge counters on, if this card's in the graveyard, I can banish it to place a wedge counter on each face-up monster my opponent controls that does not have one. So good way to take them off the field, and put them on my side of the field, so that way they're out of the way. So I can go for a OTK. Next, I got Raidraptor Focus Force Swex, which this gains 500 attack for each green beast you control. Except this card, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card to add a level 4 Dark Green Beast monster from your deck to hand, which works for Blackwings and Raidraptors alike. Next, Raider's Knight. This is a pretty good one. This is always treated as a Phantom Knight and a Raidraptor card. You can detach a material from this card to special summon from your extra deck one Phantom Knight, or Raidraptor, or Xyz Dragon Xyz monster that is a rank higher or lower than this card. By using this face-up card you control as a material, but destroy it during your opponent's end phase. This is treated as an Xyz summon, transferring materials from this, and you can only use this effect. Now, this sounds like a bad caveat. However, though, there is a one card that can counteract this caveat, and we have Arc Rebellion XYZ Dragon. When this Xyz summon card cannot be destroyed by card effects, so it works on both players. So that's how it gets around that. And this also is my end board, how I ended on the board. So I detach a material from this card. This card gains the attack to equal to the original attacks of all other face-up monsters on the field. Then, if this card has a Dark Xyz monster as a material, you can negate the effects of all other face-up monsters on the field. After this effect resolves, though, you cannot declare an attack with other monsters except for the rest of this turn. Now, that's not a bad thing, because that's where I also ended on with also on Raidraptor Ultimate Falcon, which is another card that's unaffected by card effects, and it has 3,500. And Armor Master has 3,000. And then usually I also end on for the Wink Monster. I usually end up on the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bagish, which is a pretty good searcher and also a good pop card too when I Xyz summon to the zone that it points to. So pretty handy. And it has 2100 attack. So with combining with all the attack values that goes to this card, this will pretty much kill my opponent in one foul swoop. So yes, so that is the deck. That's the profile. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the free matches. This has been G Money Rowan. And until then, farewell everyone.
Bye.